welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
I'm Chad Kubo.
It's actually Julius Pringles.
His
name's Julius.
Do you think Julius's mouth is really this strange?
No, but I have to question why you have hair and he doesn't on the can.
Yeah. He has eyebrows, but he doesn't have hair.
It's a great question. It's to make up for my lack of hair.
See?
I think you're Julius's brother, Caesar, because Julius has a darker mustache and no hair. You're like his twin brother with hair.
You're like his cousin Mario.
I'm staying like this.
If you look in the back, he's a much better Pringle head than you are.
But you don't even have the Pringles man doesn't even have a mouth. You have a mouth.
And you have dots in your eyes, and he doesn't.
This is a farce. Worst one ever.
Okay, now he's at the United Soviet Nation.
Wait for the bird. You gotta wait for the bird.
I'm flying out of here. That's the smallest airplane I've ever seen.
Okay, so back to our regularly scheduled program. How was your weekend, Joseph?
I don't know, man. I haven't been feeling well. I'm actually feeling better. I was like, I got back from wherever SGA and I got sick. I was sick as a dog. And then I was feeling better. And then we went to Ocean City for the damage prevention show. And then I came back and I was sick as a dog again. So other than that, it was all right. But we had Halloween and did that jazz. Callie was a cop. Which...
Do you have any pictures?
Yeah, I do. She looks like the bunny rabbit from Zootopia. She's like in a little SWAT uniform. It's hysterical.
That's Macy, what she wanted to be.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love this though. So Macy was an M&M with her friends. She was the blue M&M.
Oh, that's great.
And but Lila was going to be Kermit the Frog until she saw the flamingo suit from AGA.
No,
and she was the flamingo. Everybody
wear the hat.
100% she wore that.
You wouldn't do it. Did you tell her she had to wear the hat if she?
No, she wanted to. She wanted to. She was really happy with it. So
that's fantastic.
It was pretty funny. I got some pictures. I'll put up.
That's awesome. Now we need to picture her in the flamingo suit so we can.
Yeah. In other news, the flamingo suit is ruined.
Yeah. In other news, the flamingo suit is never going to be used again.
It is ultra dirty, but yeah, it made it. She walked like 7 or 8 blocks wearing that thing.
Really? You walked like 140 feet and you were like,
awful.
This is awful.
You know what we found out though?
What?
If you just lifted up the bottom, you could walk fine. It took her 5 blocks to figure that out though. But yeah. So anyways, that was my weekend. So and then my tire got popped, so I'm mad about that. But
was it like a stabbing popped or like you ran over something?
No, I think somebody stabbed my tire. It was in the sidewall. So $300 later.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again tonight.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it happens again tonight because I just want to hear how mad you'll be tomorrow.
You better not, because I'll drive to your house and take your tires. We have the same vehicle.
He'll bring 6 cinder blocks.
Yeah. Hey, if you're
wake up in the morning
and
your car's on a cinder block,
come in the morning because I don't want to have to go anywhere for the day.
Right. No, I'm gonna meet you at a hotel just to make it worse.
Perfect. All right, Chad, how about you, buddy? How was your Halloween weekend?
Well, Halloween for us was celebrated Thursday, so that was strange. And I was on Thursday. I sat in the Ocean City, Maryland airport, metropolis of an airport.
Actually, just Salisbury.
Salisbury. I'm sorry, for approximately 4 hours with 2 vending machines and no cash. And God forbid they actually took cards in the vending machines there. I got home though. I got lucky, really. In the end,
I
did get lucky. But over the weekend, Logan had games Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. So we just watched a lot of hockey, really, and did things in between there.
Something different.
A little. Yeah. Well, I haven't actually watched a lot that much. I haven't paid attention that much this year to hockey, Logan's hockey, as much as I normally do. It's too stressful.
I'm sure he appreciates that.
It's too stressful. He absolutely appreciates that. Believe me.
So
what'd you do, Teddy?
We had our end of the fall season tournament this Saturday. We just a little 1-day event, couple hours from here. We took 14.
Did you just call it the end of fall tournament? Didn't fall start like a week ago?
End of the fall season. So like we're done now with 7th grade and above because they are going into school ball.
Gotcha.
So now our 6th grade and below season kicks off because they don't
that
have
makes
anything
sense.
during the winter. So
Got it.
but we had our last tournament down. We just went to a 1-day event down in Scranton. We showed pretty well. 10th graders brought home a championship. 9th graders finished second in the same division. Our varsity teams.
So they played each other in the final?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
So it was a weird bracket how they did it. So they won. Our 9th graders went 2-1, and kind of like what we thought was they won. We thought where they won happened, but in reality they were in the same bracket as the 10th graders, and the intermingled teams, and how it worked out was we finished 1 and 2. It was weird.
There's too much math.
Yeah, it was really weird.
But you won.
Yeah, basically. And then our varsity teams, one of them had a tough day. Our second team that we brought in had a tough day, but we're getting some chemistry stuff down there, figuring them out. They were their first real tournament together. And then our top team, actually, we lost in a championship game, but we were hurt. We lost one of our best players. He broke his wrist in the first game of the day. That's
not the kid that's going to the camp.
It's the other one.
Oh, okay.
The other sophomore.
Not that I feel any different.
No, so Luke's tremendous. He's one of the top players in the state as well, but he got a buckle fracture in his wrist.
That sucks.
Yeah, he's out 4 to 6 weeks.
One of the top players in the state.
No, listen, if anything, I'll tell you right now, this kid's going to come back and be even more of a monster because
how'd it happen?
Dominant hand. Went up for a rebound. Kid came over the back on him real hard and landed on top of him. And when he came down, his hand went here and it buckled. Yeah. And so basically, like if this was his wrist bone, it's got a little.
That's why I don't go anywhere.
So
you might fall and break your wrist.
Yep. Our captain sprained an ankle in the second game, and then our other.
All right. Move on. I don't want to talk about that. You're making me.
It was a rough game.
You're making me depressed.
My God, talk about your tonsil.
Oh well, I thought we were gonna. We'll do in the outro. We have to talk about my worst week ever that you were there for.
We forgot about it.
I think we're over that. I don't think it's happening.
And it was only like a bad 24 hours, really. It didn't even.
I wouldn't tell the story as funny anymore because it's not prevalent.
It is funny because I'm still fighting with American Airlines for them to pay
about
me
what
I had to buy.
They're not going to pay you.
If you gave them an extra 12 hours, they'd have shown up with it.
Yeah, but I had 2 things.
They're not paying for any of that.
They are.
You know why? They have video of you going onto the plane looking like a 14-year-old.
And you're Vega
this recording now.
Anyways, for those of you that don't know, Teddy's bags on a direct flight from Syracuse to
Teddy
Charlotte
shared with Joe.
Didn't make it. I was on the plane. Mine, no problem.
We checked in together.
Yeah. So be nice to the check-in agent is the moral of the story, or your stuff may not show up.
I was very nice to the check-in
agent. Clearly
agent.
you were not. And you're not getting paid for your blue shorts that you purchased. So anyways, moving on. All right. So this week's thing is to turn a blind eye.
Ooh.
Does anybody know where the origination of to turn a blind eye is?
Anymore either.
I know. I just got
to turn a blind eye.
I have enough information.
What's your guess, Chad?
I have no idea. Like I can't even start to. It would be something ridiculous, like they poke somebody's eye out for looking at the wrong thing or not. Like I don't know.
Well, you got the eye part right.
Yeah, well, you told me it had to do with the eye, or else I wouldn't have got that part.
We were recording.
Who was that? Who was it?
Eileen, for the second time.
She said hi. Why didn't you let her in?
Well, special guest appearance.
Let her guess.
Come on, Teddy, you got to come in as the guest appearance. We're doing the intro. Come say hello.
Now she's like, never mind.
There's no way she's
coming in. Now she doesn't want to come in.
No.
Turn a blind eye.
What is it?
That's what you should be doing right now. It means to ignore situations, facts, or reality. So the origin is the British naval hero Admiral Horatio Nelson had one blind eye. Once, when the British forces signaled for him to stop attacking a fleet of Danish ships, he held up a telescope to his blind eye and said, "I do not see the signal." He attacked, nevertheless, and was victorious.
Huh, I like that one.
Admiral Horatio Nelson. He's just apparently a warmonger and didn't.
Do you think he actually put it up there and used like his blind eye? I mean, do you think it was just a story? Like,
I think he was probably like, "I don't see anything," and everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Ha ha,"
Yeah.
and then he just hammered him with
maybe he just had bad glaucoma.
Yeah, but he was victorious. And the best part about this is that he in the British naval hero. So apparently no one cared. Like he was just like, can you imagine, like, Ted, you were in the military, like if you're like boss, and I don't know what they're called, corporal, captain, whatever, was like, "Don't do that," and you were like, "Sorry, did it anyways." You're a hero. Like, I don't think that would work out in today's world, but hey, anyways. So turn a blind eye, fellas. Now you know.
Well, thanks.
Hey, did you guys hear that our Gelly is selling Phoenix Networking?
I think
Phoenix?
it's sold. I don't think
Sold it. Yeah, she sold her company. Good for her.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good job.
absolutely.
I know she's not ever going to watch our program again, but if you are, congratulations. Proud of you. Good job.
What time is it?
I think it's gas.
It is.
It's gas factor.
Back to gas fact.
Weekly facts of gas.
Gas and fact.
Fat gas.
This is a two-parter.
Ooh.
Now, I want you to listen closely because we've talked about this past, kind of, but this is a little different. So America's oil and natural gas industry supports blank million jobs.
7.
12.
Oh,
Somewhere in the middle. I know, Chad, really didn't.
9.5.
so upset with myself.
9.5 million jobs.
The
Right
oil
in the middle.
The oil and natural gas industry supports 10.3 million jobs in the United States.
I didn't go over.
Yes,
And
you
nearly blank percent of our nation's gross domestic product. A, 4%, B, 12%, C, 8%, or D, 3%.
8.
Gross domestic product is, are we talking about export or just total?
I will read you the definition of gross domestic product so you can make an informed decision.
That will help me.
Okay. The total value of goods produced and services provided in a country during 1 year.
What are the choices again?
4, 12, 8, 3.
12. I changed my answer back to 12. Chad's Googling it, so. Or he's got a weird look on his face for no reason.
Okay, man?
You having a stroke?
I did. I got a random thing that something was weird on my bank. That's literally my phone popped up and I was like,
Okay, we're taping.
it doesn't matter if that happened.
Now you have to tell the audience what happened.
My mom's maiden name and my social security number are, I go 3.
It's 8, and it's probably because you didn't pay attention to that guy that said he hacked your computer 2 weeks ago, which is why you're
Probably. Yeah, that's it.
See, he didn't pay your ransom. So
What is it with both of us getting our stuff hacked? I had to put freezes on all my stuff on Friday.
And I don't have anything, so no one takes my stuff. So
You lost it all.
anyways, the answer is 8. Now, I just thought that was crazy. Like, if there's 331 million people that live in the United States. If you just take that 10% and divide it into 331 million people, you end up with about 3%, give or take. Yet that 3% represents 8% of the gross domestic product. Not a real, like, great comparison, but just think about that. Like, that's a big chunk, 8% of everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Well done, Joe.
Anyways, Chad's nervous now because his bank's.
No, I'm just thinking.
And now my internet is looking like it's going to be spotty, so I'm going to bring in our guest now.
Good idea.
So today we have.
We still do that?
What?
We still do that?
Talk to people occasionally. We recorded so many, I don't think we have to do it again for a while.
Hey, wait a minute. Before we move forward, Teddy, we never talked to you about the montage that we had Brianna put together.
I think we should do that in the outro. I think we should do that in the outro.
We didn't have Rihanna put it together. She just put it together.
So
I asked.
no, he emailed her and told her to do it. So
You probably
today
missed it when your
on the
bank-
show, we are bringing in Mr. Eric Kozak. Eric Kozak has worked for Ameren of Illinois for the past 17 and a half years. In the last 3.5, he's served as the vice president.
Yep.
Great. He was an awesome interview. Like, I met the guy and was like, holy smokes, man. Like, the first time we met, I missed this pre-call. So the first time him and I met was during the interview, and I was like, man, this guy's really special. Like, to have the career that he has and all the accomplishments.
This is why I typically do the intros.
I'm just laughing because you said holy smokes.
Starting my lunch. You guys tell me when we're ready to go. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Eric Kozak. Hello, Eric. Welcome to Connections for Life. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Eric, what's up?
What you guys
Good to see
doing?
you.
Other than mispronouncing your name a few minutes ago, I'm doing great.
Hey, nobody's supposed to know that he's on with us before we actually get
Yeah,
in here.
yeah, we immediately come on and start recording. It's how we do things here. No, seriously, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. It's been good to get to know you so far, but let's bring the audience up to speed and let's talk about you. So where we start everything is, how did you get your start in this wonderful natural gas industry?
Yeah, so I graduated from college, went to a small engineering school down in central Missouri called Missouri S&T. It used to be called University of Missouri Rolla when I attended, and I graduated and got an engineering degree and started throwing out applications. And lo and behold, a company called Illinois Power back in the day thought I was a fit for their organization. So,
Worked out, I guess.
yeah, they hired me, and it's like I really didn't even think much about utilities at the time. I just I'm from the St. Louis area, and I was one of those weird people that didn't want to go back to St. Louis. Nothing, I enjoy St. Louis. I actually live close to the city now, but I just kind of wanted to get away and strike out on my own kind of
Sure.
things. That was kind of how I got started in the industry.
So and usually I go right to the next one, but I know you're now the vice president, but what jobs have you held in between there? Just because I don't know if I know exactly.
And how long have you been?
Yeah, right. Like, just give us the timeline and through it.
Yeah, so it started in 1990. So I've been in the industry for 31 years now. And
awesome.
as I said, I started with a company called Illinois Power, and I started as a gas planner. So what does that mean? As the guy that runs the network analysis and make sure you got enough pressure on the system and all that stuff. And kind of went into gas engineering for a little bit. And then at some point, about 96, I transferred down to the Metro East, which is just outside of St. Louis area. And, from then, I won't give you all the boring details. Nobody wants to know all that stuff. But, I've been over gas, I've been over electric, I've been over our construction services group, which is all the contractors like substation, forestry, and the gas contractors, electric contractors. And I was even over the fleet organization for a while. So I ran all the equipment and trucks, 3,500.
You literally you've touched pretty much every department in the company that you could, I assume, except maybe were you in collections or?
Yeah, no,
Meter reading.
Right. I haven't done meter reading. A lot of people start with that,
one of the big questions that always comes about, especially after you just saying that you've been involved in the gas side and the electric side and all those different things. My first question that always comes to my mind is, how are gas and electric different? And I know they're different, but they're the same at the same time. And I know you had to experience both of them. So if you just give us some of probably the biggest differences and maybe some of the biggest same points.
Yeah. So one of the things that I always think about the differences between gas and electric is you think about emergencies and safety. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Mm-hmm. And so on the electric side, you think about it, when you have a quote emergency, the energy typically stops flowing.
Right.
You have an outage. On the gas side, when we have an emergency, typically the energy is flowing, right? Somebody hits something.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to describe it.
He writes things down because he forgets them.
I already forgot. Can you tell me?
What happened again?
Yeah. So you said that's the biggest difference is that. So let's continue with that thought. So were you doing both at the same time? Were you electric and gas at the same time, or do they have them separated?
It depended on the job, but I would say, yeah, primarily I was doing them both at the same time. I was a manager of one of the operating centers, the the gas and electric distribution guys out in the field. I was over them. Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like there's got to be a lot of things going on at once when there's like an issue, right? When there's like a disaster or an emergency, when both are down, it's got to be pretty hectic.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't think I've had to deal with two at once, And the other big difference is, the electric, everybody looks at the weather and goes, hey, there's weather coming in and we're probably gonna have a storm, and you get ramped up. On the gas side, other than Friday afternoon, when it seems like everybody wants to hit your stuff, you really don't have a lot of warning.
Is that the biggest issue that you've encountered? Was just traffic or breaking lines or broken or leaks, I guess? Is that the big thing?
Yeah, really, it's when people ask me what's the number one concern, that's what I always say is third-party damage.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Just, that's what keeps me up at night, as they say, if you really want to talk about it that way. I try not to think about it too often. We generally do a very good job of making sure things don't make the headlines, but it's always a risk that's out there, and it's kind of frustrating at times that we have all the one call systems out there and all the advertisement for it, so that there's still people that don't use it, and that's frustrating, but certainly getting better and putting more focus and emphasis on that.
Well, you've had a lot of different jobs there, obviously, as we talked about. I think you've probably touched on just about everything. And through those years, of the 31 years that you've been there, you are now the vice president of Ameren, Illinois, correct?
Yes.
We get that right? Right? Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Wow, yeah.
One right. It's got one. I got your name wrong, but I know what you do. So
Small things.
50-50. What does that look like? I mean, now it's got to be kind of eye-opening for you. And I know that, when you started, you probably never intended on being the vice president. It was probably not on the trajectory, right? A gas planner to VP, but 31 years later, you're here. What does that look like to you? What's a day in the life of the vice president of Ameren look like?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think about the day in the life, you kind of have, you think about leadership and management, you kind of do three things. You supervise, you manage, and you lead. So I don't do much supervision now, obviously in this role. But occasionally you do, and that kind of comes in the emergency type things, if they would get to me, but fortunately that doesn't happen too often.
I think everybody does their best till they don't get to you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think you want to see Eric walking out on a site. I think that's a little unnerving for everybody, right?
Right.
Or you get the opposite of it, where it's like, your supervisors and your managers are like, Eric's going to be on your site today. Make it look like not every single day of action that actually goes on.
Put on your hard hat and your glasses, at least. Let's get that over with.
The offices are a lot cleaner. Apparently the word gets out when I'm going to show up.
Yeah. You can't do that undercover boss. Wasn't that the name of the show? Right?
Yes,
Right.
Shooting up flares. People are shooting up flares.
So,
I
what does it look like? So
yeah, I was gonna say, on a day-to-day, when you come into the office, what are the things that you kind of are your day-to-day tasks? I mean, we talked to Jim Crowley that's over the gas department at Eastman, and one of his things, which was crazy to me, is that he had to what was it called, estimate the gas usage every single day. And I know you probably don't do that, but I assume at some point in time, you probably have things in your day where you come in and there's a few things that you have to get out of the way each day. I was just kind of curious we're never going to be VPs, so we're just kind of curious what it looks like to the people that are.
Right. Well, there is a lot of stuff to manage. You're on corporate teams. Like I'm on a corporate project oversight committee, and actually have a meeting today, and we go over all the projects over $5 million to make sure they're on progress, things like that. I'm on the corporate diversity, equity, inclusion team, so to making sure, we're doing our part to support diversity, equity, inclusion is one of our values throughout the corporation. So those are some of the things I call manage, but they're honestly the best thing I like to do. We make fun of it, me going out in the field, but I love to do that. I actually have a little map, just in all transparency. It's a little map of the state that's highlighted of all the OCs. I have like 30 OCs on there, and I make sure I get out to every one of those OCs
really
at
cool.
least once a year.
That's
And
awesome.
and I, just meeting with the guys and being out there the last time, I was actually meeting with one of the supervisors, and he's like, hey, I can't meet you because we just had a hit main. And so I got to go to that. And I'm like, well, where are you going to go? I'll go out there with you,
That's
and
cool.
That's really neat.
that's an awesome story, and it echoes the sentiments of another guy who was in a similar position to you that we've had on our show, Mike Eastman, and that same feedback was given about Mike. I only know this because I worked the territory that he supervised, like you do. And the guys would always say the same thing, like he'll come out on the job with you, he'll do that, and that's what makes him a great leader. That's what makes him a great person, because I want to follow a guy that's willing to go and do whatever we got to do wherever we got to do it. So.
My biggest thing is got to give you some perspective on the actual needs of the guys in the field. And you hear some guys that maybe sit in your seat in other places and things like that, and they become a little disconnected from what those guys actually are doing every day and what they need and what they literally what they need. I know that sounds funny, but what they to do their job correctly. And I give you a lot of credit for that. That's pretty neat.
That's really awesome. So
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, well, that leads me to the next question. And that's essentially, throughout your 31-year career, I know you probably find one in each different capacity of it. If you want to share one from each one, that's awesome. If not, do you have a particular crowning achievement of your career so far, or at one specific
he's
area?
VP, man.
I thought it was being on the show.
I was able to con everybody to let me become a VP.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
At least he's honest.
Great work.
Although I am proud of that. One does come to mind, and it's actually, ironically, I've been a gas guy most of my career, but in 2006, I believe it was 2006-07, we had a pretty bad storm that wiped out, a lot of customers, and it was pretty devastating in this area. They were so desperate. I was a gas superintendent at the time. They sent me to one of our OCs and said, "Hey, we want you to run that storm up there." And so I was the gas guy going up there. They knew I had a little electric background too, but to go up there and run that storm, it was a small OC. And I remember that I think we had 15,000 customers. When I got there, 13,000 of them were out.
Wow.
So that gives you kind of the magnitude of it was, even though it was a small community. But it was the first time I really got to run a storm by myself and be in charge of it. And the routine was I'd literally drive down to the big meeting center, grab box lunches, load them up in the back of my pickup truck, drive there at 4:35 in the morning, get there, organize everything, and organize the electric contractors and local people and everything. And just, I won't bore you with all the details, but I was able to run some it was a new system, because that's when Ameren just bought us. I said I started with Illinois Power, then I was bought by Dynegy, then I was bought by Ameren. And just once, I'd like to be a part of the company.
How much it cost?
So you're saying there's a price.
But I've actually survived all those 3 purchases, but they had a different outage system, and I was able to run some, I'm not bad on the computer, and I was able to run some programs and create some charts and graphs that showed where all the outages were and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
And got some the engineers on board. I was pretty, I don't want to say a dictator, but I wanted things done a certain way. And so we did that throughout the storm. And what made it special to me is when we got wrapped up, we were wrapped up in 3.5 days, and there was still 2-3 more days in all the other parts of the state that were still going. And when those contractors were there, and we only had about 20 guys helping us out. These are roving contractors. And the foreman came up to me at the end and he goes, "This is the best, most organized storm I've ever been on." And I just thought that made me feel pretty good as a gas guy. It's like,
what I think is the coolest is that after 31 years of being in this industry and all the things that you could have said, the thing that you said was that. That's awesome. And I think it speaks to who you are and how much this industry means to you. Honestly, 15,000 people screaming that they don't have electric or power or gas, whatever the case may be, doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But when you're in charge of that, and you're in charge of having all those people's, livelihoods,
you're responsible.
You're responsible for that. That's a big thing. And to do it at 50% faster than everybody else, I think that's awesome that somebody gave you the pat on the back. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it was nobody within the company that made it special to me. And I even got a call from the mayor of the town. Actually, it was the mayor's secretary during the storm. I was like, explained to her the process. She's like, "Hey, when are we going to get our power back on?" And I'm like, "What circuit are you on?" I said, "You know what? There's 2 circuits ahead of you, and then you're the next one. We're doing it by customer count," and explain everything to her. She's like, "Okay."
That makes sense.
And that's what you're really looking for when you're an actual customer of those things, is somebody to give you a real answer, which is sometimes it's a tough thing to find in that situation.
I think one of the other things, Eric, and talking with you and kind of getting to know you a little bit, is that you're super passionate about our industry and what we do. I know that you've done some talks and you've done some seminars and things like that. I just want to ask you, from somebody that's been so entrenched for 31 years and sits at the level that you do, what does the future look like for you? I mean, for the gas industry, like, what do you think? We have so many different kind of, I hate to use the word attacks, but that's kind of what it is. And just misinformation. I think we're now in the age of misinformation for a lot of things. But certainly one of them is fossil fuels, and what we do, what we all, the industry that we all call home for our careers is certainly getting a little bit of grief. So from your perspective, kind of what does it look like, and what do you think our way out of it would be, and the best course of action moving forward for all of us?
Yeah, and I appreciate that question as well. I am passionate about the industry, and it's funny because when I started, it was literally we were going to run out of natural gas. I mean,
right.
Back then, we were looking at hydrogen in 1991 because we were going to run out of natural gas. And fast forward 30 years later, we have more natural gas than we know what to do with, and
we don't want to use it.
Right. Some people don't. Some people
not
don't.
us. I shouldn't say we. I should misspoke.
Yes, but to your point, and so I have been doing a lot of research, and I'm just a guy that's running a gas business, right? But I do stay in tune with articles and things that come out, and what I really try to do is educate people on how to think and not what to think. So one of the things I always tell my employees, when I talk to them, it's like, hey, when you see a headline, don't just read the headline. If you're going to be lazy, at least read the last paragraph. One of the examples I use is, the battery technology. It seemed like 5-6 years ago, every article I saw was new battery,
Mm-hmm.
and then you read the last paragraph and says, yeah, but the materials are more exotic, and the cost is even going to be higher than they are.
We don't know and we don't know how to make them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's 10 to 15 years out. It's like, okay, well, that's a great headline, but and so I try to be
everything's like that,
in my approach. And I actually watched one of your earlier podcasts with the gentleman from, I can't remember his name, I meant to look it up, from AGA.
Bill Cantrell, probably.
Yeah, Bill. And what he said rang really true to me was that the facts are on our side. And he said, once the facts, really people understand the facts, you really understand the value proposition of natural gas. But I will share a little tidbit with you. Just it wasn't even in lieu of this. I was doing this before that. So I was just curious. I asked one of our engineers, I said, on our peak day, how many solar panels would it take to produce enough energy that we produced on peak, that we provided to our customers on our peak day of gas? So, he did the engineering and calculation, and assuming 10 hours a day of sunlight, and I got the number here, it's 153 million solar panels we would need to produce the amount of energy that we provided on our peak day this year.
Did you have
153 million?
That's all.
And that's just your customers.
Yeah, and so then you say, and it's like 61,000 acres of land.
They're only this big.
I want to know how much the cost would be. That was my next question. Did you transfer that into how many dollars with the 153 million solar panels was? I know you did.
No, but
Come on, you didn't? You're gonna now.
Well, I didn't do that, but I tell you what else I did on an earlier thing, and I actually looked it up today. It was the amount of energy we store. We have 12 natural gas storage fields in our service territory.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had another engineer when I was over that group. I said, hey, how many Tesla batteries would it take to store that much energy? And that number was over $3 trillion. I'll just tell you that.
Wow. I just wish I had somebody that I could ask those questions that could give me the answer.
Right.
Yeah, it's me. Like, I'm supposed to know.
I'm like, Joe, hey.
They do that to me all the time when we do gas facts. Like, well, I wonder how much, and I'm like,
we might give away your gas fact corner actually to Eric.
Yeah, Eric, you're bringing me into the gas facts. I'm gonna call in a
corner.
So Eric, kind of my last question here, and it relates to everything we were just talking about. What can you tell us some of the positive things Ameren's doing just in the public and everything, trying to make positive impacts for the industry.
Reduce emissions.
Yeah, reduce emissions, all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll speak specifically to the gas, and one of the things we're doing obviously is trying to reduce our emissions, even though, methane, if you look it up, it's like 0.00019% of the atmosphere. I looked that up the other day just because I was hearing that.
We just had this.
I just looked that up.
We
Yeah.
just did this gas back the other day.
Yeah. And
By we, I mean Joe.
Yeah, but we mean Joe did the gas act.
Yeah.
And I still answered 12 because that's always my answer whenever it's another question.
So finish your thought there, Eric. Sorry.
Yeah, no, so that's just, so the focus on reducing emissions. So what are we doing? We have a very tight system right now. We don't have any cast iron in our system. We don't have any unprotected steel in our system. So those are the two highest forms of leakage according to the EPA. So we've got rid of all that, but what we do have is mechanical coupled or mains with mechanical coupled on. And so we got an aggressive program to replace those. We're trying to do about 60 miles a year and 600 miles and have a 10-year plan to get that done. And, we're hoping to be able to stay on track and do that. And once we do that, we have a really modern system. And of course, then we got the transmission side of things with the new PHMSA regulations around that. But, it's all about reducing emissions. And then we're also taking some RNG on the system. So we take enough RNG on our system to provide gas to 16,000 average residential homes. So I think you're going to see more of that in the future. It's the one thing that we can do to be actually carbon negative. If you want to go down that path, if you could actually take methane that's, just going up to the atmosphere, taking it, capturing it and put it on your pipes. If it's 25 times worse than carbon, then it'd be 25 times offset if you actually take it and burn it. So it's an advantage there. It's the one fuel that people talk about that can be carbon negative is renewable natural gas. So we're doing some of that as well.
I think the one thing I want to say to that is, and maybe it's just a misnomer, but I think most people look at like fossil fuels as just bad, right? Like that's kind of like the prevailing message. But natural gas utilities are committed to finding new ways of reducing emissions and, with RNG and hydrogen and all of those things. But the one thing that gets lost in all this, and I think it's, we talk, Bill Cantrell, as you referenced before, always talks fact-based, right? Like everything facts. Since 1970, gas utilities have added 30 million residential customers with no increase in emissions.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and in fact, emissions have went down since 1990 by 24%.
Right.
And
wow, you guys are great together.
And then
I'm just gonna leave us, Chad. We're gonna leave. You two keep talking amongst yourselves.
We didn't even talk beforehand.
No, that's the best part.
But it's reality, and those are the types of things. No offense, and I'm not trying to be like political in any way here, but Bernie Sanders can tweet out that August was the hottest year in the world ever, and people, and 1 point whatever million followers he has, see that and believe it. The reality is A, that's not true. And B, no one ever is out there. You said something earlier, and I wanted to kind of point this out. You said, we're from our small little gas company that we operate. The problem is that I think everybody's feeling that way, but collectively we need to have all of those voices heard so we can deliver a message that reaches the volume that these people that got these, they're not fact-based. It's just misinformation that gets put out there that collectively as a group, I think we need to support, we can defend that a little bit more. And I hate to use the word defend because I don't feel like it's us versus them. I think at the end of the day, it's all good. It's all good to talk about renewables and reducing emissions. That's all good stuff, but it's not an us or them. It's a we.
You can't do one without the other. It's not now.
No, that's actually, and I think that's where the industry really needs to do more outreach. We talk about that and do more outreach to the environmentalist groups to help them. I had a random call. This is several years ago. A random call. I don't know how they got my number. They passed.
Sorry about that.
It was probably the manager of the town.
Yeah, it's the mayor.
It was from the Environmental Defense Fund. It was somebody from the the local EDF chapter, and he was asking me about gas leakage and all this stuff. Whenever he's like, "Well, how much do you leak?" And he was, I was like, "Well, I don't know, you're kind of catching me cold here. I said, but it's very hard to measure, first of all, methane emissions, because they're naturally occurring as well as, I said, but we do report on an annual basis, the number of how much gas we take
How
in.
much you took in and how much you.
Yeah, it's like less than 1%. And I told him that, and he said, oh, well, that's pretty good information.
Yeah.
He goes, and he said, you guys should tell that to more people. And I'm thinking, here I got an environmentalist telling me that I should be telling my story more. So I think there is certainly the industry, we could do more outreach and have, if we can find people, to your point, to have a real conversation with about how we can do things better and not just throw things back and forth. I mean, I'm not against wind, I'm not against solar, and I'm not against batteries, I'm not against any of that. It just needs to really be an all-in approach if we want to make things better.
I'm all for having sustainable energy that allows people to live productive, happy, comfortable lives.
Absolutely.
Really. And there's a mix of that. And if they can figure out tomorrow how to make a windmill that puts out 50%, I mean, that's awesome. But we can't. So let's reach across the aisle and just talk about what's reality today, what's reality potentially in 5, 10, 20, 50 years. You see these like edicts thrown out that we're going to be, green by 2050.
Well, that's what I think the struggle comes in, is that there's no, they're trying, and in some semblance this is true to certain regards, they're trying to create some task tension so that there has to be some work done towards the initiative of it. So by putting a date on it, they're creating some task tension. However, what they haven't done is research the reality of the date or unrealisticness of the date. Yeah.
I don't know. I think sometimes it's a lot of it's done for optics. And I, we all work in this industry in some way, shape, or form. And every person pretty much that we've interviewed on the show that we've talked through this with, we're all very passionate about what we do. And we always feel like, and I don't know, I'm sure you get this too. You go to a place where you don't know anybody, you introduce yourself and you tell them what you do. And you feel like immediately, like, they're like, you're a fossil fuel guy. And it's like,
yeah.
And like, you get kind of like prejudged like that. And I don't know. I'm just trying to find a way that, and hopefully with our show, we can use this platform and just deliver a different message. And some people will see it and they'll learn a little bit more and they'll understand it a little bit better than they did the day before. And, hopefully guests like yourself and will help that along. I think we really appreciate everybody we get on the show. And it's awesome to talk with you. I can't wait to actually meet you. I say that about probably 70, 80% of our guests. But I think there's going to be more from us coming out, hopefully going forward, and we'd like to have you be a part of that if we can get you to be, and trying to convey a larger message into more people, and that's really the goal here. So,
yeah, no, go ahead.
Can I ask you something before we let you go here?
Sure.
I see in the back you have an electrical can meter, and it looks like a gas meter behind it, and they both have blue lids. Is that the Ameren, Illinois, like custom colorway, or it is a gas lamp?
It's a gas meter that's also a lamp. So when you're part of a dual utility, you have to have both. So.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
It is cool.
So it caught my attention there, and the blue stood out.
Try though.
Yeah, I'm not. It's Monday.
That's why we don't let Ted talk much.
Yeah, well, the story behind that, I'll just even share this with you, because it was I went up to I recently had my senior vice president retire, and I was up in his office in Decatur, Illinois, and it was sitting in his office. I texted.
I was going to say you stole it, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I said, I thought about stealing it, but then I was like, it actually is a Chicago Cubs color, because he was a big Chicago Cubs fan, and I'm in Cardinal country.
I was gonna say, you're gonna have to paint that red.
It's way up on my, now that it's on video, everybody knows, which is why it's way up on my shelf that nobody can.
And the 5,000 people who watch this week are all gonna know that you're rocking the Cubs color.
We're gonna have to get that painted for you, Eric.
But being from central Illinois, or my wife was more in the Springfield area, she's a Cubs fan and I'm a Cards fan, so I tell everybody I have a mixed marriage.
Interesting.
So I have to ask though, being from there, what football affiliation, like what team do you root for?
Rams.
I was a Rams fan. I was, but I think I recently told you guys I've been spending more time in Arizona, so now I'm adopting them as my home team.
They had a good
the formal St. Louis Cardinals anyway.
There you go.
And they played really, really well yesterday.
Yeah, they laid a smackdown yesterday. So
All right.
I'm
Well,
a Giants fan.
It
So
was nice to see all the people in the stands. That's what I actually enjoyed watching the
Me
game.
too.
absolutely. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. Joe does it much more heartfelt and more articulate than I
You
do
really do a good
because they don't
job.
let me
Let me
talk
say, yeah.
much. However, but seriously, I really appreciate you joining us. You're an awesome guest and a wealth of knowledge, and we're very, very grateful for you joining us today,
Absolutely.
Eric.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
All right.
yeah, we'll let you go
soon.
because we know you got way more important stuff to do to talk to us three knuckleheads. But in all seriousness, we'll see you soon. Anything that we can do to help you guys out in any way that we possibly can, whether it's getting on a message or delivering something, we'd be more than happy to get
Love
involved.
to.
We want to be the advocates of the industry, and I know that that's something that's really important to you too. But thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking your time, and we'll get a beer someday.
We'll talk to you soon.
It sounds awesome. I appreciate it, guys.
All right,
Awesome.
Eric.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Eric. Eric, that was hands down the worst interview we've ever had. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I had to say that because of the
Wow, Eric. What a
No.
great interview. Seems like I say this every week.
that's why I had to change it up. If you saw our blooper reel last week, the guy
It was your blooper reel, not our blooper reel.
we are one. We're part of a show together.
No.
No, you were on an island there, pal. No, it was good. Eric's awesome. Like it's one by Ted. It's one of those things where like you get to meet somebody and like they're a president or VP, like, and he's there. You have this like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. You have this like weird expectation that like they're going to be like stiff or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. But like he's just a great
Not a normal human
guy. Like and I want to thank him too, because he put us in touch with the folks from the Hydrogen Institute, the folks over at GTI. So
Yeah.
Eric, thank you for that. I can't wait to interview those folks because what a bunch of cool stuff that they've got going on. And we have no clue. Like, talk about shooting way outside your target zone.
Yeah.
We have when we talked to them, Chad, you weren't on the call, but we legitimately Ted and I we had no idea. It was like somebody could have been talking Chinese and we would have been like,
It's like when Bert Kreischer does his comedy skit and he's like, have you ever sat through a class that's taught in a language that you don't understand and you're taking tests in it, like circle, star, hashtag? Yeah, that was us in that whole entire pre-call. Like,
That's funny.
anyways, but it was a good interview, Eric. Thank you very much. Sorry it took us so long to get you on. We've been so backed up with everything we've had going on, but thanks for taking the time to do it. I wanted to say something really quick.
Go.
Well, first of all, Teddy's, if anybody hasn't seen it, Brianna put together a montage of Teddy's exit interviews, and that's what we were picking on. It's phenomenal. It made me die laughing, and it was just so perfect. So,
And there's probably like 65 more of them too.
yeah, that was like 6 of them. There'll be another 4-hour version coming out.
we're actually taking that one straight to DVD release.
Yeah, it's going
Straight
right
to tape. Straight to tape.
Right to VHS. Right to
So-
VHS.
Beta.
So when we were at SGA, we saw our friend Nick Temple from Rhino, and
Hey,
hey Nick,
Shout out,
and he was
Nick.
giving out these cool signs, which are kind of neat. They're like, but can you guys read that?
Yeah.
So I just thought these were kind of funny, they're kind of like funny things. But on the back is a whole bunch of blurb about like their products. So that was pretty cool marketing materials. And then they have this one too, which I picked up because the guy looks like me. So I actually asked Nick if it was my caricature that they stole. I don't know. It's kind of not bad.
Please stop.
So anyway,
I want to shut his camera off and mute him.
that's how we feel for 79 episodes, man. You guys don't think it looks like me a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like you just brought up the whole thing just to show us that it looked like you.
No, I just really noticed it, to be honest with you. These have been sitting on my desk. I just thought they were cool. Like, and the reason I brought it up is because you know how like when we went to the show, like a lot of people give away the same stuff.
Yeah, no, those things are awesome.
Right, but like AGA and even SGA, like people have upped their swag game,
Yeah.
like considerably.
I think what's neat about those is they actually make those. Like they print those on
Right.
their material as
But it's
giveaways.
got
which is
like
really
all
cool.
of the
I know,
like,
it's sick.
product information on it. And I don't know, they're fun little tchotchke things and whatever, but I just really think that it's cool that, like, I mean, gosh, those sunglasses that, that Spot was giving away and everybody is up their hat game. Like people have ridiculously nice hats now. Oh, I didn't, guys, darn it. Jen, I forgot.
Oh,
Okay.
This is our sign.
Why
This
did
is-
it come down?
I took it down
Why?
because I had a call with a customer. I didn't want this.
Why not?
Let me put it up again.
All right.
So
I think we've.
Oh, I think we've
our-
expired. I think our week expired.
It's a
we
Monday.
got this. From
We only have the half hour.
Jim and James. printed
Yes,
this
they
for
did.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. Now it's in my house. I don't know what to do with it.
Right there.
And look,
That's what you
and
do.
look, and look, I broke it. It just comes right up. I cracked the whole thing.
I gotta go.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching us. We are completely off the tracks. Off the my tire.
I don't know if we were on any.
thanks to Joe because
We're
the
fine.
tires are gone. It's one of them days.
Yeah, it's my
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
The tires are shot.
The shot.
got jokes now. Good luck with your bank account, Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really weird that I made it that, huh? Wow.
And
All
Teddy
right.
Tonsils over
I'm
there.
gonna go.
You don't see Teddy next week. It's because he had tonsillectomy or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
That tonsillitis. So,
Yeah.
all right. Have a great week, folks. Remember to click like, subscribe, share, follow, all the stuff. Love you.